Oh, it's starting. Oh, my God.
Is that officially it, really?
Yeah, it really is. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, no. Brothers, sisters, siblings, welcome to Penn Sunday School, starring Penn Gillette. My name is Michael Ludeau. Matt Donnelly, Randy Rich, Penn, and I are broadcasting from our separate homes in Las Vegas. On this week's show, Matt has an idea to save the Rio. Penn didn't get much sleep, so we really have nothing planned. We'll probably read some viewer mail. Here he is, preaching love, Mr. Penn Gillette.
Yeah, I am a little bleary, worse for wear and tear, as Mick Jagger said. As Joe Ely said, I must not have got a lot of sleep last night. Who else has commented? John Lennon said, I'm so tired, I haven't slept a wink. There is a lot, and I'm not even dipping into the Paul Simon deep well of every song I've ever written is because I couldn't sleep last night. The Paul Simon, his entire career is based on insomnia. But last night I tried to sleep on the floor, and that's a whole subject we're not going to get into, but I was trying to sleep on the floor to solve some issues. And I thought I'd be less...
Like political issues?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I was making
marital issues? Let's keep listing issues.
I was making a statement about time to sleep on the floor. And I'm wearing my fucking great t-shirt.
Yeah.
There is we talked about this in New Hampshire, in Keene, New Hampshire, home of the lovely and talented Lon Bronson of the Lon Bronson All-Stars here in Las Vegas. He is from Keene, New Hampshire, and Keene has a Vietnamese restaurant, Korean restaurant, Vietnamese. What's pho? Pho is pho.
Vietnamese soup.
Vietnamese pho. So fucking great. And what I love about Keene, New Hampshire, maybe I just love about our world now, is they banned the title from the mayor of Keene, said you can't have a restaurant called Fucking Great in Keene. We will not allow that. And then that went around the inner tube with people reading about it and saying, fascist mayor, how can they possibly stop us from having fucking great restaurant in Keene? And the mayor just said, okay, and you'll sell a lot of t-shirts. Good. Mayor just turned around. Just did a complete turnaround.
That is a wise mayor.
Yeah.
That's what they're supposed to do.
I have a bag with a fucking great from when I played. A listener brought it up to me after I played in opening for Piff. We played Keene, New Hampshire.
Oh, is this a plastic bag?
No, it's like a reusable cloth, washable cloth bag.
Oh, that's nice. Do you use it?
Yeah, I keep all my podcast gear in it.
Is it the same logo as this shirt?
It is.
Okay, they didn't bother creating different art for the bag.
Oh, I don't know if you're familiar with modern day merchandising, but no.
Put one logo on everything.
One logo goes on everything. Yeah.
It doesn't say, I'm carrying my fucking great gear.
No, that's great.
This
I should start making my own.
Is on a fucking great chest. Doesn't do that. They don't do that anymore.
Well, I guess what was it? There was a clothing company that had FC UK as their logo.
It was
French Connection.
French Connection UK. FC UK.
And went to the Supreme Court about whether they could use their
I don't think it did. Go to the Supreme Court? There was
look it up.
They did not. The band, went to the Supreme Court. It was interesting. There was an Asian band called the Slants, and they wouldn't let them trademark it because it was racist. And the Slants themselves, I'm referring to the band, were a little bit shocked by that. And the question is, can trademarks have any sort of input whatsoever, the trademark company, into what's acceptable and what's not?
Supreme Court sides with designer over allegedly offensive trademark. In a 6-3 decision, Supreme Court on Monday decided with Los Angeles designer who sought the trademark, FUCT is
That's
a clothing
fucked.
line.
Yeah, fuck did go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. I mixed up my fuck T-shirts for Supreme Court cases.
FCUK does not spell fucked. It spells fuck. Yes, it does.
Tired pen's one of my favorite pens.
I had a very, very, very strong case there, except I was wrong. That was the only place it fell down. What do you got, Matt? You got some questions about PNT, or do you want to save the Rio first?
Oh, I don't know. So, well, I'll just get the Rio thing out of the way here.
Okay.
No one has fully found a way to actually make people feel safe about returning to Las Vegas.
Right.
Okay.
But that has not stopped them from returning to Las Vegas.
Right.
Turns out feeling safe does not seem to be on the list of priorities.
Not one of the requirements.
It is certainly below unlimited shrimp.
No, but you want to entertain again, and people who like you are probably people who are staying home and wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Rio's our destination. So, all of this convention space is also, a bunch of conventions are also canceled.
Right.
So while you have that convention space where you load in and load out all kinds of cool different arrangements for all kinds of different conventions all the time anyway, why isn't someone coming up with like basically like almost like a plexiglass like stadium booth style seating they just install in a convention space, and you can load all your gear into a convention space and do shows in convention space for different number than your regular theater holds, but it's better than zero, right?
And everybody's in their own glass box?
Yes. And on top of that, you could do it where, like, those hallways are gigantic. You could do it where you can actually, if you buy your ticket, you can get a time that you're arranged for you to be there. And that's not all. And that's not all. All these restaurants have to do stuff at like 25% or 50% capacity. What if these booths, you could do a thing where these restaurants around the Rio offer a limited menu. So when you buy your ticket, you buy your meal and drinks ahead of time, and they're waiting for you in your booth. So you mask up. You buy a little booth. You buy a little booth.
Now, why not put that booth, all those booths in the convention center, and put a bed in them too?
And a slot machine.
And a slot machine.
We've solved, you were right, Matt.
The exact.
Little teamwork, we got this.
The exact thing I was going to say. You go in, they bring you in a hazmat suit. You go into your booth, it's clear. Yeah. There's entertainment on stage whenever you want it. You get any food you want is delivered to you safely. You have a slot machine, and you stay in your little booth until there's a vaccine or until your money runs out. In which case, the booth is just lifted and forklift to another place and dropped in the center of Las Vegas Boulevard with people not having masks.
True gambling in its truest form.
Exactly.
Great idea. Mm-hmm. That is a very big room, too.
So you're spinning your slot machine wheel, and you get like 3 sighs come up.
Yeah.
And that means immediately you're dumped into a hot zone in the U.S. And if you get 3 hypodermic needles come up, you are in the first 500 to get the vaccine.
Oh, that's a good one. This is a good game now.
So you gamble, then on stage you say, okay, well, from 6 to 8 is Carrot Top, so that's when we'll have sex. And what I mean by that, my dear friend Carrot Top, is not that no one wants to watch you, but rather that your voice and prop comedy is an aphrodisiac.
Very much so. Very much an aphrodisiac.
Have you seen Carrot Top lately?
Lately, no.
He looks very off-brand.
Oh, okay.
Because a bearded
hair's brown.
Well, close. Wow. He has a beard spouting out. He's looking like Carrot Top Van Winkle.
Oh wow!
Not a Viking, more of a dwarf.
Do you communicate with him?
Yes, but only by dance. I communicate with him. No, he texts me a joke now and again.
Yeah.
He just sent me a little thing the other day that said, if we defund the police, will Sting still get paid? That's the kind of thing that pops into Carrot Top's head.
I do admire it. Jokes are getting less and less concise, I feel like. And so I do feel like Carrot Top is always one to come up with something very quick. It's always a very quick joke.
It's always a very quick joke. It's always very timely. And then he throws it away.
Yes.
He doesn't linger on it.
No, like it was funny. Like he had when Bernie Sanders had a heart attack, he had like a tie joke that turned into a stethoscope or something.
Yeah.
And someone was like, "You had that fast?" He goes, "Well, actually, I had that from when Dick Cheney was vice president and he had a pacemaker."
What Carrot Top is known for is his filing system.
Yeah,
But he really does.
Heart attack.
He really does have an insane filing system. Have you ever been backstage at his show?
I have not.
I have, and it does. He has 1,000 gigantic drawers all around his dressing room that are filled with like props from different jokes from different times and stuff.
Then he has a computer program that he types in Bernie Sanders heart attack, and it brings up 4 heart attack jokes, 4 political jokes.
Also delivers the props to his stage. Like Amazon, conveyor belts.
Now, if you could do that, but with plexiglass booths.
I tell you, it's absolute genius. Absolute genius.
Or something.
Or something.
It can't be the weirdest. It can't be the weirdest solution you've heard.
No, the weirdest solution was let's do all these things and then not really do them.
Right. Like let's show prototypes for how we're going to make everything super safe, and then just offer people masks, put up signs, and then throw our shoulders up.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe that's the right thing to do. I don't know. You recall we had Dr. Greger on.
Yeah.
I said maybe this opening up won't cause another wave of infections.
Yeah.
And if you recall Dr. Greger's face, it looked like I had said to him, hey, maybe next week all pigeons will decide not to fly. All of them. He wasn't able to really say there's no chance of that, but he had many other questions. Why would they do that?
He didn't say there was no chance of that, but you could read it.
Well,
Nice.
I'm showing off now. I guess this is what Biden should be doing. I am now drinking a sip of something using one hand.
Yeah.
Did you see that video of the President of the United States?
Weird.
Horrifying.
It's weird.
He gets his cup up to striking distance and then pushes up the rest of
Finishes
it.
with the other hand. Yeah.
It seemed
Like a stroke.
I have finished my stroke with the other hand. Oh, we're talking about an entirely different thing.
No,
Different stroke.
different thing.
Different strokes for different folks.
I think I've gone from not working out to suddenly working out too hard and been in a similar position. So I don't know if that's maybe.
Maybe he was doing too many curls.
Yeah, maybe he just decided to
Flat
start
push-ups.
I'm doing a speech at the military tomorrow. I better do some curls
Yeah.
so I can flex when I get there.
I'll do a couple 500-pound curls in each arm. Because that's what he would claim, right?
Yes. Yeah. More than any other president in history, he's done more curls. It was strange, and it's one of those things where do we want that to be news? Do you not want, like, of all the things you pick on him for? Is that the one that we want at the top list? On the other hand, he's going to explain it in a way that I'm not going to believe him, and that's going to bother me. And then he did that too.
Yeah, well, the self-righteous high road way is to say we're checking our president for neurological disorders.
Yeah.
We're not really just making fun of him. We're checking, we're worried about that. And I think there's some validity to that. I mean,
Certainly the ramp, the ramp dismount
Ramp, yeah.
looked very concerning to me. Like, it basically was like, oh, if I saw my father walking like that, I'd be like, whoa, what's up? What's going on? How often are we going to the doctor?
Also, what were you doing at West Point, you'd say to your dad?
Yeah. No one asked you to speak. What were you doing? What were you doing?
Why are you coming down the ramp? And how'd you get by Secret Service?
But I still think my health would be number one. After that, I think I want to know the answers to the rest of that stuff.
Yeah. You tell me on the way to the hospital, Dad.
But if he had aphasia, how would we ever know? If he started saying
He'd tell
random
us,
shit. He started saying random shit. How would we ever know?
It's like playing old, overstating your age. No downside.
I was over in England, and this is years and years ago during the unpleasant world of Penn and Teller, and I was flirting with a woman in a pub, and she said to me that her ex-husband was an alcoholic. And I said, how can you tell? It seems like in England, everybody that I was around had a drink in their hand all the time.
Yeah.
So it was very hard. I guess the U.S. must look like that too. So just that I travel in a different circle.
No, it's as someone who used to bartend, I remember we had, one guy, he says after hours, right? You stay after hours, you clean up the whole bar, and you saddle up yourself and you make yourselves a couple of drinks and joke around by yourselves for a couple hours. It's the greatest time as a bartender. Count your money.
The equivalent of when I worked at Howard Johnson's.
Yeah.
We would do hose down the whole place after it closed at 1 to 3. The dishwashers cleaned everything.
Yeah.
And then we would sit down with stolen ice cream, stolen Sunday material.
Yeah. And that's the best, right? The best tasting ice cream.
Right. And we'd eat a tremendous amount. And of course, my coworker was always tripping. So I would hear that point of view.
I remember having a guy who would, out drink us like 3-1. And you'd be like, whoa. I mean, like, we're all going to the same station, buddy. But like, what are you doing? And it's like when you can in that environment still rave a red flag, then you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Right. When everybody's drinking.
Yeah. And they're still like, whoa, not like that guy. Yeah. Then you're in bad shape.
You know what happened to that guy? Did he turn out fine? Or?
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, he died.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Alcohol related?
Yeah, auto wreck, probably alcohol related.
Well, that is, what is it? Something like 61% of auto wrecks are involved with some sort of substance abuse.
Yeah.
And then another 30% are texting. It's like 10% of traffic accidents don't have
those factors.
Yeah.
So if you're still not using your blinker, hold your chin up high.
There's still some hope for you. Let me see what we got here. I was thinking maybe I would tell somebody about something. I'll tell you about this. Boy, do I like this. No one wants to go to the post office ever. No reason to go to the post office, especially now. Going to the post office, going out to make a strong political statement or going out to work might be choices you want to make. But going to the post office, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be on your list of things. For all our sakes, we need to avoid crowds any way we can right now. But what if you need to go to the post office? What if you need postage to send out letters and packages? Don't worry, Stamps.com is here to help. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and skip those pesky lines in crowds at the post office. I am reading this, but I inserted the word pesky.
Okay.
Thought the word pesky was called for.
That's fair.
Plus, you can actually save money with discounts that you can't even get at the pesky post office. As if that wasn't enough, Stamps.com also offers UPS services with discounts up to 62% and no pesky UPS residential surcharges.
Wow.
I got to tell you, Stamps.com brings all the services of the U.S. Postal Service right to your computer in the safety and comfort of your own home, office, or anywhere else you're hunkering down right now. Whether you're a small business sending out pesky invoices, an online seller shipping out products, or you're just working from your pesky home and need to mail stuff, Stamps.com can handle it all with ease. I think you all know that Emily's been sending out a lot of Director's Cut stuff. And if we're getting rid of all the old Director's Cut stuff, if you want any of that stuff, get in touch with my wife. If you're involved in Director's Cut at all, you know how to do that. She'll send you stuff with Stamps.com at like cost. We just don't want it around the house anymore. Right now, our listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a non-pesky digital scale without any pesky long-term commitment.
Pesc free.
I'll tell you, Stamps.com, one of my favorite sponsors. They've been with us longer than Reddy and Matt, haven't they, Godot?
They have, indeed.
That's the truth.
Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in
Penn.
That's Stamps.com, enter
Penn.
Please, Stamps.com. This is from Stamps.com, not me. They say, be safe, my friends. And that's a very, very important thing. Be safe, be safe, be safe. I got to see which one of these. Okay, which one's that? Which one's that? Oh, there it is. That's what I want to do. Our mission is simple. We're going to talk now about Mack Weldon. You know about Mack Weldon? I'll tell you all about it.
Please do.
Our mission is simple, to make all your basics and beyond smartly designed and shopping for them easy and convenient. We founded Mack Weldon because we wanted more out of our basics and always questioned why something so essential should be such a pain in the ass to buy. The frustration was real, and our eureka moment happened in a department store aisle full of brands that dominated our top drawer. Surrounded by a mind-numbing assortment of underwear and socks, we realized consistent fit and quality became a game of roulette. So we decided to take matters into our own hands. They've taken your socks and underwear into their own hands. We started from scratch and engineered our own fabric. We made sure the design process was meticulous so you can count on the fit being the same each time. We built a world-class customer experience, the differences in the details, so we obsessed over every stitch and seam until we reached our definitive definition of perfect. Mack Weldon is better than whatever you're wearing right now. There's no doubt about that. Mack Weldon is a premium men's essential brand that believes in smart design and premium fabrics. Mack Weldon does indeed offer industry-leading underwear, but there's so much more than just an underwear company. They're really a one-stop shop for men's basics of all kinds. Socks, shirts, hoodies, underwear, and new adjustable Storm Chaser rain jacket really are the longest lasting, highest quality items on the market. You know, it's so much easier to just know what you want and just get it. You know, George Carlin said, if you find a pair of sneakers that fit you, buy 50 of them. Mack Weldon does that, really does value its loyal customers. That's why we've created the Weldon Blue loyalty program. Here's how it works. Create an account, totally free. Level 1, place an order for any amount and never pay for shipping again. Never. Level 2, once you purchase $200 worth of products from Mack Weldon, not only will you continue to receive free shipping, but you'll also start saving 20% off every order you make for the next year. Level 2 also grants you access to new products before they release anyone else, as well as free gifts added in future orders. So great. You know, you want your underwear, socks, and all that stuff taken care of. So please do that. Special offer, unique promo code and website address for 20% off your first order. Visit Mack Weldon and answer promo code
Penn.
That's MackWeldon.com, promo code
PENN.
Must include a clickable URL, MackWeldon.com, promo code and offer in notes, video description. You got to go do this. Check it out. Try your Mack Weldon. They are doing a great job supporting us, and you don't want to monkey with your underwear. Well, let me take that back. You do want to monkey with your underwear, but you don't want to monkey with buying your underwear. And you want underwear that it is a pleasure and a choice to monkey with, not a requirement. Now, what do you want to know about Penn and Teller there, Matt Donnelly?
Well, I've been going back on Abracababble and doing behind the scenes of every episode of Fool Us. And with my increasingly parent brain, it's becoming more of like, I don't remember this behind the scenes of Penn and Teller for us. But
You're calling that parent brain?
yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But Look Simple was one of your closers in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And now looking at it as an aspiring stage magician, I was like, the origin of this feels impossible to me. Like, I don't understand where this trick would come from. And I probably should explain a little bit for people listening who don't know.
I can go through all of that for you here. That bit was created, I believe, in London for the Unpleasant World of Penn and Teller.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this idea. We had this idea that we've been talking about at that point for 15 to 20 years. It was an idea that I have, Teller has, we bring up to each other, and it always pops up in different forms.
Yeah.
And that is, it has in common with Rube Goldberg,
Right.
comedically. It's the idea of using magic tricks to create the illusion of reality.
Okay.
Okay, so you'd see an activity that was perfectly normal, absolutely violates no rules of chronology or physics or anything, is perfectly sensible, goes all the way through, and then find out behind the scenes that it is accomplished by incredibly complex magical means.
Okay.
So it has that in common with Rube Goldberg, right? Rube Goldberg is, here's the way I butter my toast, right?
Oh, yes.
So originally it was going to be toast related.
Oh, okay.
It was going to be taking bread out of a wrapper, but actually having the bread palmed, pulling the pen, putting it in a toaster that actually had a gimmick to make it glow a little bit, and then switch out toast, and then have a heating element hidden in your hand, and all this palming. And then it started with, then it went to cooking something else. And we kept going for something that had a lot of magic technology, but was common. Now we made it.
Did you go to any practice phase on the toast idea?
Nope.
Okay.
You know, the way we work is, as you guys know very well, and it's so hard to explain to anybody, you know, if you haven't worked with Penn and Teller before, especially if you have serious improvisational training, and you know that yes and, you know that's not the way Penn and Teller work.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right.
And when I went on Celebrity Apprentice and had to work in teams, there was nobody on that show. And I mean nobody on the show in front of the camera or behind the camera or on the scenes that had worked in a partnership, a team, as long and as successfully as I had.
Right.
Nobody. So I felt I had a leg up in working with other people. So when someone else would bring up an idea, I would do everything I could to shoot it down instantly. Okay? I've got an idea. Here's the 10 things I got against your idea, Teller.
Okay. What about me saving the Rio? Were you taking it easy on me, or?
No, that was a great idea. And I even find this in my day-to-day life. You know, my wife will come up with an idea, and if I really respect that idea, I will go all Penn and Teller. Here's what's wrong with it. Here's what's wrong with it. Here's what's wrong with it. Does not play. Is not good. Not the way it has to be done. And when I did it on Celebrity Apprentice, I was hated for respecting ideas enough to give them the Teller treatment.
Right.
So I brought an idea to Teller just the other day. We had a meeting yesterday, and it was a very good idea. And Teller did everything to shoot it down. This is why it won't work. This is why it won't work. This is why it won't work. And that fills me with joy, because every one of those things he brings up, I believe, is saving us 2 weeks of work. If you can knock me off the toast idea before we practice the toast idea, that's tremendous.
Yeah. And you save so much money on hand toasters.
We sure do, yeah.
Although I'm curious about that.
So we went through stuff. Then we made a very bad choice because this would have been in the. Wait a minute. Maybe all this is wrong. Maybe all of this was Hollywood, and it was done for Penn and Teller go public, which puts it 12 years earlier in a different continent.
Okay.
But I remember coming up with. I pitched that idea so many times. So many times I pitched the idea of, okay, you're going to pick up this glass, take a drink of water, and everything will be fake. But how do we do that? Well, part of it's faked. And the mistake we made was not predicting how ostracized cigarette smoking would become.
Oh,
Yeah, they're-
right.
Because the basic idea was there's an awful lot of technology for dealing with cigarettes. So the idea was Teller would walk out in a noir kind of way, smoking a cigarette. He would throw the cigarette down, crush it under his hands, pick out another cigarette on his feet, pick out another cigarette, pop it in his mouth, light that cigarette. Right? That was going to be the whole trick, the entire trick. But when he threw the cigarette down, he would palm it, he would hold it out, he would reach into his pocket, pull out something, it was a switch, he'd have smoke generation, he would do all of this to make this normal thing. And the idea was I would do a narration and say, looks simple, doesn't it? And I would talk about how looks like he's just throwing down a cigarette, looks like he's just puffing a cigarette, looks like he's pulling out a fresh cigarette, something you see people do every day. Now, our mistake was you no longer see people do that every day. But we do that. And we ran through the technology on it. And just because it's interesting now we don't even use cigarettes. We use fake cigarettes that do the smoking, like vape things,
Oh, funny.
with no nicotine, no nothing. It's just water vapor, which means we are actually doing a meta level of this bit because we are faking having cigarettes to fake having cigarettes.
Oh, that's funny.
But we haven't found a way to work that in, honestly, yet, you know.
Well,
But Greg Cohen.
yeah.
We then went to Greg Cohen, and Greg Cohen is a monster bass player. He's played with like Tom Waits and Lou Reed, and we found him in New York, and I mean he plays with everybody, and he plays upright and he plays electric. And we went to Greg Cohen, also played with Captain Beefheart. And,
Yeah.
What's really great about him is when you're playing upright bass, one of the things people are looking for is a really strong right hand that really thumps and gives you that big, massive sound.
Yeah.
You really want that out of a right hand. You want a bass player who plays very strong with the right hand. Now, Greg Cohen has a deformity in his right hand. He has a wine spot, so it's miscolored. You know, it has that red.
Yeah.
They're called wine spots, right? Birthmarks like that.
Yeah.
Goes across his hand. And his hand also may be an illusion, but his hand looks bigger. So when you see him play, he puts this like alien Avengers mitt down on the strings and gets this really, really chunky sound. So we went to Jeff Cohen and we said, Penn plays a little bass. At that point, I just played electric and I was not good. Can you write a bass line he can talk over? And Jeff said, well, I can write a bass line for this, but I certainly can't talk over it. So I would do the talking, and the talking on that bit is tremendously hard because for the magic and the comedy, I have to follow Teller.
Mm-hmm.
Now, normally when you talk or sing while playing bass, the vocal is jacked into the same grid as the bass, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So if the bass is doing this, the vocal's doing that, you know. She was just 17, you know, Paul singing that, you know what I mean? And the bass is going right in the same tempo, and all his cues of the bass and the vocal are the same. You know, I'll never dance with another, because I saw her standing there. All that ties together. So you learn one set of skills, and they all go together. So you said to Paul, sing, I saw her standing there. You can bet he has that bass line going in his head. And if you said, well, you know, Elton John's going to sing one verse of this while you keep playing bass, you can bet in his head he's doing the same vocal. It goes together. And every time I've played bass and sang, those two are completely married together. What we wanted to do in Look Simple was marry my vocal to Teller. And we also know that Teller, shall we say, has a loose affinity for tempo. He has a loose
Rhythm challenged.
Yeah, he will not. I mean, it's kind of cool because it gives you a Captain Beefheart type thing.
Yeah.
But he won't start a phrase on one.
When you guys work with Johnny, because Johnny was a huge rhythm guy, and Teller and Johnny are both legendary with their skills, but would that clash at all?
Yes, we did air sax. Finally, Johnny, Jonesy, and I simultaneously said, with various degrees of exasperation, all starting up very high, just step on the paper on one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Foot 2, 3, 4. Foot 2, 3, 4. It's gotta be on one. To which Teller said, I was doing. No, you weren't. I believe if you had a pigeon flying over your head with a small piece of cracker that he was dropping, the chances of that cracker hitting the pavement at exactly one were greater than Teller's chances. So for Look Simple, Teller would do the routine. Looks simple, doesn't it? When you're dealing with a master of sleight of hand like my partner Teller, even the simplest activity may be a complex deception, right? Mm-hmm. Is he really crushing out a cigarette? Is he really adjusting his hat? Is he really bothered by that itch in his left eye? Is he really just lighting a cigarette? To understand the complexity of Teller's life, you need to know the 7 basic principles of magic. Okay.
That's my next question. Is your 7 basic principles of magic?
We're getting all there.
All right.
I have all this outlined in my head. So Jeff worked on the bass line. It was a nice, easy, simple bass line, essentially a walk-in F minor. And he played it. And he played it with Teller. And then said, do the vocal. So I would do the vocal. I'm reading, doing the vocal. And Teller is doing the sleight of hand. And Jeff's playing the bass. Jeff's a monster on the bass. And we did that several times. And I said, just so I can see what this is going to look like, Jeff, would you do the vocal while playing the bass? No. Jeff would go, dum, 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 dum. Look simple, and the bass would stop. And I would say, no, keep playing the bass and keep talking. And he would go, fine. Dum, 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 dum. I said, Jeff, you're not talking. He said, okay. Talk and bass at the same time. Dum, dum. Can't do it. So then he said, I said, if you can't do this, can I do it? And Jeff said, I don't think so. We're going to have to pull Teller into time. And I said, I can do it. Do you know the joke about the, it is I guess it's usually told as an ethnic joke, but I'm going to take away all the ethnic thing.
Oh, good.
An old man has a genie, right?
Yeah.
Finds a genie in a bottle. And the genie says, I'll grant you any one wish you want. And the man says, he could be any ethnicity, but this is what he wants. The people in the Middle East have been fighting. And he holds out a map. and says, here's Palestine, here's Israel, here's Egypt. There's been strife. And he holds the map out and says to the genie, can you bring peace to this area? And the genie says, I believe for your wish, this is too hard. This is too hard for me to do. Can you bring up something personal? And the old man says, well, you know, my wife of 40 years has never treated me to oral sex. I would like just once before we die to experience that. And the genie says, let me see that map again. That's what happened. You'll never be able to play bass and say these words at the same time. Well, what are our other choices? Well, Teller can do the bit in time with the bass. Let me see that map again. So I started practicing like a freak to try to load the bass line into a part of my brain that didn't need to talk. Mm-hmm. And I learned to talk out of time with my bass playing, except for, because I know Reddy's going to bust me on this, except for the final 7 basic principles of magic, which are done on the beat. So I learned to play the bass and talk over it. And I have been complimented so heavily by bass players who come to the show. Will Lee of the Letterman Band, fabulous bass player, said to me after the show, "Are you talking out of time to the bass?" I said, "Yes, I am." He went, "Jesus Christ!" Almost every bass player who's come to the show, regardless of their skill, has said afterwards, "Amazing! I don't know how you do that." So I'm very, very proud of that. Also, Greg Cohen told me a really funny story. He was friends with Captain Beefheart, okay? And Captain Beefheart, friend of Frank Zappa's, avant-garde musician, dead now, also a great, great, great painter, was cut off from the world. Didn't really know much about the world, lived in a trailer in the middle of the desert and painted. And they were always trying to get him to do music. And in the 90s, which is important to know, in the 90s, Captain Beefheart gave Greg Cohen a call and said, "I have to ask you a question." A guy called me who was said he was a very successful rock musician and wanted me to sing on one of the tracks of his band. And he wanted to offer to fly me to LA to record in the studio and work on a track with him for his band. And I wanted to find out if this person was this was a real offer. And Greg Cohen said, "What was his name?" And Captain Beefheart said, "I wrote it down. His name is Bongo." Bongo. Do you know a famous musician named Bongo? And Greg Cohen said, "Bono? You too? Bono?" He said, "No, I wrote down Bongo." So there you go. Bongo. Now, 7 basic principles of magic.
Okay.
7 basic principles of magic were written in honor of George Carlin saying the 7 words you couldn't say on television.
I knew it.
Okay. In that case, which went to the Supreme Court, unlike FC UK, it went to the Supreme Court. George Carlin listed the 7 words you weren't allowed to say on television.
Yeah.
Piss, shit, cock, cunt, motherfucker, cocksucker, tits. Those are the 7. Piss, shit, cock, cunt, motherfucker, cocksucker, tits. Those are the 7 words. Really nice rhythm to it. Now, he came up with those 7 words because he wanted that rhythm. Dump, 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 right? That's what you're going to want chematically for that. He's going to say it over and over again. You also need tits as the punchline because you want to get through your heavy ones, come down. You want to conceal the one that's most likely to bother people in the middle. It's constructed for that comedy routine.
Right.
Then it got played on the radio, and there were complaints from the FCC. It went to court. It went to the Supreme Court, and they talked about the 7 words you can't say on television. That was read into the court record, and now the FCC uses that as the 7 words you can't say on television. Totally made up by someone who was breaking the rules. So we were so taken with that George Carlin thing. There are not 7 basic moves in magic. There are not.
Okay, so just like Carlin, you've come up with the list.
We came up with the list so that we could make it fit rhythmically with what Teller was doing in that routine.
Got it.
You know, all of them are real terms. You know, palm, steal, ditch, misdirection, switch. I have to do the whole
thing in your head.
You need a bass.
Yeah, I have to do the whole
Get
bit.
a bass.
Yeah, that's really true. Palm, ditch, switch, misdirection, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits. That's what they are.
Steel is in there somewhere.
Steal, yeah. And
Reddy knows it. Just have Reddy tell him.
what is it, Reddy?
I'm not saying. You don't want to know what I'm thinking.
So we laid that out, and we were not. We did not have pretense of being George Carlin.
Yeah.
We just thought the number 7, the reason George Carlin picked it seemed like very valid number to pick. 7 seems like the right number. So we went with that. And sure enough, magicians went apeshit and say, they've given away the 7 basic principles of magic. And Teller, going back to Piff's prayer that Piff does every night.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, please don't let me ever know what Teller really thinks of me. Teller said to the person who talked about us giving away the 7 basic principles of magic, just send me in any magic text written before our first performance of this where the 7 basic principles of magic are laid out. Any text, anywhere, from the discovery of witchcraft in the 15th century or 16th century, right up until now, find a place the 7 basic principles are talked about. Teller was never taken up on that.
So in your wildest dreams, did you ever think that you were going to share George Carlin's pain in coming up with the...
Well, his was Supreme Court and national. Ours was a tempest in a top hat and barely got to the Magic Castle, But it's just remarkable that if you say you're doing something transgressive and you create the very rules you've broken, people will take those rules and adopt them. I believe there are many other cases of that.
Wow.
And it's just really weird. So that became one of our favorite bits and one of the fan favorite bits, and pleased us very much.
Simulation is the other dumb word you're missing for.
Okay.
You have palm, ditch, steal, load, simulation, misdirection, switch.
That's 6.
Wait, palm, ditch, steal, load, simulation, misdirection, switch.
There you go. That's 7. Yeah.
Got it.
Those are the 7. And you'll also notice in this syllabically, we're also stealing from Carlin.
Yeah, that's neat. That's a neat fact.
It's all that George Carlin thing, and done while playing bass. And it is a hard enough bit for everybody that when we do sound check, even having been doing it for 35 years or 30 years, we still run it every afternoon at soundcheck.
So even in its title, it lives up to its own.
Yeah.
Looks simple.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one to do.
When did you switch from electric bass to stand-up bass on the bit?
Well, a lot of argument over that. Teller never wanted it to switch. Teller thought the electric bass was a better look for it.
Interesting.
But we put it back in. You agree?
Ready Rich and I debated this.
You agree, Ready Rich?
Yeah, I like the contrast between the two characters.
You like it to be electric. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's Teller's point too. By the way, you're wrong.
I liked it theatrically. I thought it looked more uniform with you on the bass, especially.
Yes, I like that. Also, it plays the noir better, and also fits the music better.
Yeah,
the sonority fits the music and the tone better. But you're right, for the contrast in the character. Those are the two arguments. We had both of them. I'm playing the bass. Fuck him. So I wanted to change it up a little bit. I also like having that big old bass.
And the twist, when he turns and you twist it, it's choreo.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Plays to my musical theater heart, which Ready Rich has no place in his heart for.
That's true.
And you don't want to travel with both of those.
Once you're traveling with an upright bass, you can travel with anything else.
Just throw it in the box with it.
Yeah. Upright bass is we use electric upright on the road.
Oh, so now we know what the crew's favorite version is.
They like the ukulele version.
The Hawaiian version of Look Simple.
But we like that bit very much. I mean, that's one of the bits that I would consider to be a bit that I'm very, very proud of and really defines a lot. You don't picture someone else doing Look Simple.
Yeah. No. And actually, remember, we hit this principle when we did the Discovery Channel show together. For one of our stand-ups, we did a whole scene where the whole thing was tilted. Remember, the whole set was tilted?
Yeah. And
it seemed like we had hot coffee, but it was orange juice, grape juice or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the idea, stated simply, of using magic to create the illusion of reality.
Yeah.
Which is what it always was in our notes, has come up a lot.
Yeah.
And I still think is a very funny idea. I've also always wanted to do a bit on doing normal things really, really well as a juggling thing. You know, Johnny Thompson said the hardest skill he ever learned. I remember Johnny Thompson, the best sleight of hand guy there is.
Yeah.
The hardest skill he ever learned was the Ginzu knife demonstration.
Yeah.
To cut tomatoes paper thin and do all that prep with a knife that was in no way special. So the Ginzu knife demonstrators have incredible sleight of hand. You know, they can cut a tomato so you can read through it and doesn't do all that. That's all skill with the knife. And I remember Chip Denman, a statistician from D.C., Chip Denman said to me that his father ate chicken with a knife and fork better than anyone he'd ever seen. And I was contrasting that with Provenza. If you've ever eaten chicken with Paul Provenza, you will never eat it again. Especially chicken wings. All those parts you leave, he eats all the cartilage, then he breaks the bones and sucks out the marrow.
That is.
It's a pile of sand when he's...
It's a pile of sand, yeah. It is disgusting. But Chip Denman's father, when he described it, just using a knife and fork, can take a whole chicken and completely get all the meat off it completely cleanly. So I was pitching to Teller that we should do a juggling routine that was household skills done really better. And never went anywhere with that.
Yeah.
But you see it on the web, that idea. There's all these bits where people throw the toast in the toaster.
Yeah.
And throw their keys into their backpack. and throw trash, while driving by into a trash can. And at first, all of that was doing 100 takes till you hit it. And now most of it's rigged with what do you call that? Masking.
Oh, okay.
They do one-side masking on the TikTok stuff, and it's no longer skill. It's now just
Sheer illusion.
special effects.
Ruined by the celebration. In the juggler's day, there should be no celebration. This is what you manage every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've practiced a bunch. I've practiced a bunch of versions of this. I used to try to hang up a phone by pulling it on the springy cord and letting it go.
Yeah.
So that the transmitter, the receiver handheld would just land right on the cradle like that. I actually lost a pair of shoes at Lance Burton show because I used to walk into my dressing room and kick my shoes off into a trash can just because I thought it was funny to do. One night I got them both in and forgot to take them out.
Well, that I don't think we.
I like Jason Garfield's version,
What's that?
where you lock off the camera in an empty room with a chair, then you walk into frame, do your trick, sit down. And if you miss, you do 100 takes. It's the walking to the chair that sells it.
Right. He does the walking to the chair once, right?
Well, he does it in every take.
Okay, yeah.
So it makes it look like it's, his only take.
But I think you could probably also edit it if it's a locked off camera so that you could just.
He can now.
But I don't think there's celebration, Godot.
A lot of people, when they make those over the shoulder basketball shot stuff, go, yeah.
No, but the ones I've seen, the really good ones, there's no reaction. It just happens to happen. And you can also see what's wrong with the juggler. We were in a writer's room for Sin City Spectacular, right?
Yeah.
And I had said earlier to I think Owen of the Passing Zone that I wanted an orange, right? And I was talking and had my hand up, and Owen walked by the room at full speed without looking in, threw the orange over his shoulder, hit my hand, and I caught it without looking over. And it was tremendous. And then you know what Owen and I did for the next hour?
Yep.
Tried to recreate
I
it.
had to do it again.
Magician would never try to do it again, ever. Magician would just carpe diem and be done.
Just make sure everyone knew what had happened for the rest of the day.
But a juggler tried to. Remember we were at the Franklin County Fair, Godot?
Yeah.
And I threw that soda can. There was a recycling bin where the end of it was shaped just like a soda can.
Uh-huh.
So it was trying to teach you to only put things like that in there for the recycling. And I was about 4 or 5 feet away, not too far. And I finished my soda and I went, whew, and it went right in the tube, right in.
Oh.
And I came back 45 minutes later, and Godot was still sitting there with the soda can, trying to hit that dead on.
Yep.
Once someone hits it with juggling, you got to hit it again.
Right. Well, if I had been you, I would have walked away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All I needed was one.
But that's what we do. And we are going to wrap it up because we got another show to do and we got other stuff to think about. So let's do that then, because that was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening ears,
You become naked.
angels sang and round us rang the music of the spheres.
Now, comedians have nothing analogous to that, right? I guess if they say something really witty, they try to figure out, how can I get this into my routine and set it up? Yeah. How can you get that feeling of laughing in church? That's all you want. We love you.